settlements, and they're responsible for maintaining that wall, that ugly, ugly, ugly wall. I don't know how many of you have visited Palestine and Israel, but the landscape is so beautiful. But it is totally destroyed by this wall that goes for hundreds of miles. And G4S, formerly Wackett-Hut, corporate purveyor of private prisons in the US of A, there's a reason why there are calls for boycott, divestments, and sanctions. There's a reason. Because this is what helped bring down apartheid in South Africa. And if we understand the extent to which we are ourselves connected with that process of occupation. I used to take super shuttles to the airport. Anybody heard of super shuttles? Yeah? Super shuttle and their car service ExecuCar are owned by Veolia, which is a French corporation which is responsible for transportation between illegal settlements and occupied Palestine. And I'm telling you, when I was there, I was shocked. I was really shocked. I didn't expect to be shocked. I thought I already knew. I really thought I knew. Because I've been doing this work for I don't know how many decades. So I thought I knew what I would encounter in occupied Palestine. But I didn't know. And when I saw the signs didn't say white and colored the way they did when I was growing up. But they say authorized persons or authorized vehicles. And I said to myself, I didn't know that highways could be segregated. Because even living in the most segregated city in the South during the height of Jim Crow, maybe we couldn't stop and get out of the car. But we could still drive. But there are signs on highways that say authorized vehicles only. And that means that if you have a Palestinian license plate, and you see there's a different kind of literacy that you acquire there. You learn how to read the numbers, and you know what license plates are Palestinian and which ones aren't. If you have a Palestinian license plate, you can't drive. Or certain streets, you can't walk down. So I urge you to find out more about what is happening in that part of the world. And also to remember that not very long ago, some young Palestinians, less than a year ago, some young Palestinians boarded some of those segregated buses that transport people from one illegal settlement to another. And they knew they would be arrested because Palestinians aren't allowed to board those buses. And so guess what they call themselves? Freedom Riders, yes. Freedom Riders. And therefore they were acknowledging the influence of the Black freedom struggle on their freedom struggle today. And I think as people who inhabit this country, Black or Latino or Native American or Asian American or Arab American or white or whatever, we have a responsibility to support that struggle. I know there are people here who are asking you to support divestment for TIAA-Cref. Yes. Because I'm already retired. It doesn't feel like I'm retired, but I definitely want an occupation-free retirement.
Yes.
And let's remember, the connection between South Africa and what's happening in occupied Palestine. And do you remember when Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist? Mm-hmm. Do you remember when the U.S. government wanted nothing to do with the man who is now perceived Umkhonto we Sizwe, which was the armed struggle against the apartheid regime in South Africa. Now, there's so many other issues I would like to address, but I'm sure you can append all of your own analyses to my comments. And let me just say that I really hope you've had an exciting and productive conference, and you are recharged for the coming year, because we have an enormous amount of work before us. And let us remember that justice is never partial. Justice is always indivisible. And injustice